Welcome into Sports Memos Betting Podcast, NFL Opening Line Report with Teddy Covers. Teddy, welcome to the pod. How are you?
I'm doing all right, Drew. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. Not as good as you, man. Heck of a weekend, so hats off to you. Undefeated Sunday, undefeated Saturday. November's looking good, and we got a Monday nighter tonight. You got to play up at sportsmemo.com, but did want to throw it over to you for the listeners here. 47 being the total, of course, talking Seattle Seahawks at the San Francisco 49ers, with the 49ers laying 6 at Levi's. Any quick thoughts here?
Yeah, I think there's a legitimate case you can make for both teams. When you look at Seattle and their track record as road dogs in the Pete Carroll / Russell Wilson era, that's not a track record to take lightly. Consistently good over the test of time, including this season. This is Seattle's role. We love them as road dogs. All that being said, San Fran, in my opinion, is a legit Super Bowl contender, and you don't often get legit Super Bowl contenders at home on Monday Night Football laying less than a touchdown, when they're the rested team and their opponent's coming off an overtime game. So I personally think one of the two arguments is stronger than the other, significantly stronger than the other. I'm in action on it. You can get the play right now, only $9 on $9 Monday at sportsmemo.com.
Teddy heating up on the gridiron, both NFL and college football. So check it out, sportsmemo.com. Teddy, the Thursday nighter here, Pittsburgh at Cleveland, an intriguing handicap. We're seeing 2.5s mostly in the marketplace. I am seeing a 3 out there. Just got taken out, actually, as we're talking. That's Cleveland laying at home, -2.5 now, 40 being the total.
Yeah, this had emergency betting alert written all over it because the 3s weren't going to hold, and they haven't held. Look ahead line here was Cleveland -3. My powering number is Cleveland -2.5. The betting markets are not going to give Pittsburgh full respect because of the Steelers' turnover differential. They've got a positive turnover differential. The defense got nuts creating turnovers in bunches every week, and the markets don't respect that. There is still market respect for Cleveland. And the Browns, of course, got off the schneid yesterday. It wasn't a pretty win against Buffalo, to put it mildly. The red zone struggles continue for the Browns. But we're certainly looking at Cleveland as a team that the markets are looking at with more upside than Pittsburgh right now. I don't know that I agree with that, and I don't think that any 3s are going to hold. This line closes 2.5 or lower. Like with every game, I'll give you the look-ahead line last week from the Westgate Superbook. I'll give you my parity number, and then we'll try to make an assessment on which way this line is going to move. I don't think Cleveland, there are still a couple of 3s out there. I don't think they're going to hold. I think this line closes 2.5 or lower.
All right, Teddy, let's move on to the Sunday slate here. We got Dallas at Detroit at the top of the card. Not seeing much out there in terms of lines and totals. Limited marketplace, seeing 3.5, 4.5 at 2 books here in Las Vegas, talking the Cowboys at the Lions, Teddy.
Yeah, and they really don't know what the story is with Stafford. Jeff Driscoll was okay yesterday. He certainly wasn't Stafford. And when we talk about the Detroit offense that relies exclusively on Golladay and Jones downfield, without their starting quarterback, this team is a good notch or 2 worse than they would be otherwise. Although, when it comes to NFL backups, Driscoll, I would put him in the serviceable category, not in the Luke Falk category. As for Dallas, Cowboys are what, 2-4 their last 6 since that hot start.
Yeah, not good.
Not beating a whole lot of good teams right now. And opponents have figured out what to do with Dallas. If you stack the box and make Dak Prescott beat you, Dak Prescott's not beating you. All that said, the Lions are a fundamentally flawed football team on both sides of the ball as well. I really don't get a sense for where this number is going to go. My numbers, the look-ahead line here, Dallas -2.5. That's a Stafford number. My powering number has Dallas -2.5. That's a Stafford number. If Driscoll plays, I think I would say it's at least a 2-point drop-off. So I would make that number 4.5. But no numbers right now. As you said, a couple of books have numbers up, but I'm not convinced that they're taking big limits at those numbers just yet.
All right, Teddy, let's head to the NFC South for the next 2 division games here. New Orleans at Tampa Bay, seeing 51 being the total, 5.5. That's the Saints laying on the highway.
Yeah, a look-ahead line here was Saints -4.5. My powering number is Saints -6. Boy, people go crazy when the team is a bad game.
Yeah,
we saw it with the Packers 2 weeks ago, and it's like, oh my God, they're terrible. What's wrong with you? It's like the Saints had a bad game yesterday, okay? And This much I'm going to say: Sean Payton never had them ready. Off with extra time. Look at New Orleans week 1 under Payton. I think they've lost their last 6 ATS off the bye. They were just flat. They were a fat and happy team that didn't come in with the energy that they needed to against their opponent. There are some concerns maybe moving forward for New Orleans. The fact that Atlanta was sacking Drew Brees all day is certainly a concern. And the injuries continue to be there for the Saints. Tampa, I mean, talk about another team that shoots themselves in the foot on a regular basis, and another team with significant defensive injuries, which is a concern for the Bucs against that Saints defense. This total's what, 51 and a half? And we've seen a little under money. I wouldn't bet this total under, not with your money. From a point spread standpoint, this doesn't feel like an urgency game. I don't get a strong sense on Monday morning this line's going up, this line's going down. It feels like it's going to sit in this 4.5, 5.5 range for a little while.
And Teddy, quick handicapping question for you. Head coaches with extra prep time, I have them circled as bet on in college football and NFL. Do you do the same thing, maybe bet against off of extra prep time? Like you just, I guess, mentioned with Sean Payton not having his guys ready sometimes?
So I'm really not sure if it's Payton or if it's Breeze. The Saints offense is a rhythm offense. And when you have a team, and we've seen it for years this way, when they get into a rhythm, you look at New Orleans and all of a sudden you're like, wow, they just scored 40 the last 5 weeks. Right. When they have the bye, they lose the rhythm. And we saw that yesterday. We saw it in week 1 against Houston. But to me, I'm kicking myself because I didn't trust Atlanta yesterday. It was a pure, I don't trust the Falcons against this offense. But 2 minutes into the game, retrospect-wise, I'm like, this was dumb. Atlanta should have been on my card from a situational standpoint. It doesn't get a whole lot better than the bottom feeder against the fat and happy team. Both squads coming off the bye, and the one squad's hungry, the one squad isn't. That showed yesterday.
And speaking of the Falcons, they're next up here. Rotation number 455, 456, Atlanta at Carolina. Panthers laying 5.5 at home, 50.5 being the total, Teddy.
Yeah, I'm disappointed in this number. I got to say I am. Look at line here was 7. My powering number is 7.5. And I was really hoping to see something in that range, and I would be taking Atlanta. So I adjusted the Falcons plus 3 points off of yesterday's win. A significant adjustment. Mm-hmm. They were a dead team going to the bye. The quotes coming off the win and out of the bye were uniformly positive. Hey, we still have half a season to play. We're into it. And we've seen dead Falcons teams show life even in December under Quinn last year. Remember how awful that team was, and they won their last 3 in December. So we've seen this from this staff and this team before. When the season's dead, they don't necessarily quit. And Atlanta came to play yesterday, and defensively they came to play in a way. Again, they haven't had. I think they had 5 sacks all year, and they had. Maybe it was 7 sacks all year. They had 6 yesterday, and the pass rush was there again and again and again. Even they were surprised about it after the game. So I thought there was a nice buy sign on the Falcons, and then the number, the look ahead was 7, and my number was 7.5, and the number opened 6, and it's been bet down, which is a little bit disappointing. And for all the struggles Carolina had yesterday in Green Bay, I had a big ticket winner on the Packers, and obviously, incredible drama at the end of that ball game. Carolina played better than I thought they were, given the conditions, and Allen played better than I thought he would, given the conditions. And Carolina's shown 1 week on, 1 week off, one week good, 1 week bad, a little bit in recent weeks, and this might be their good week. So all of that being said, I was all excited about taking a touchdown with Atlanta. I never saw a touchdown. When the line opened, I never saw the 7, and now we're looking at 6s, 5.5s across the board. Let's see what the Falcons may well be a buy low team right here, but the markets are telling us right away it's not that low. Off the win yesterday.
Teddy, next game up, we got Jacksonville at Indianapolis. Colts, limited marketplace here, but most of the Vegas books saying Colts -3 at home, 44 the total, Teddy.
Look headline here, Colts -3.5. My powering number, Colts -4.5. I'm not calling this, what you're seeing on the screen. They're all taking limited action. We don't know yet if it's going to be Hoyer or Brissett. They thought Brissett was going to play this week, and he didn't. Generally, you think he's going to play the following week. My numbers are Brissett numbers. The 3.5 a look ahead was a Brissett 3.5 look ahead. My 4.5 is a Brissett number. Hoyer was pretty rough yesterday. Although it's Vinatieri now. We have to, Vinatieri missed the extra point, and that meant that they couldn't kick the game-tying field goal, and that was the difference in the ballgame. And that's what, like 5 missed extra points and 7 missed field goals. It's one thing if it's there once or twice or 3 times. It's another thing when your Hall of Fame kicker has gone south, and Vinatieri's gone south right now. He's costing them. He's cost them the last 2 games. He cost them the last 2 games. That being said, you might get a little bit of a buy low on Indy as a result. As for Jacksonville, it's going to be Nick Foles behind quarterback instead of Minshew. We'll see how long Foles stays healthy. The report I read out of Jacksonville camp this morning from Doug Marrone was that every single player on the roster was healthy and practicing, wow. Which is something that you don't often see at this stage of the season, and maybe why the line there, why the real line is lower than my powering number. That may have a lot to do with the Jags' health. Indy's offense hasn't worked the same way without Hilton. We'll see what his status is. But with Hilton and Brissett, this number is going to go higher if those guys play. That's something to be aware of. But right now, we don't know.
Teddy, next game up, we got Denver at Minnesota. Vikings laying doubles at home, seeing 10 or 10.5, depending where you're shopping. 39.5, the total.
Yeah, look at line here was Vikings minus 10.5. My powering number is Vikings minus 10. The markets are at 10 right now. So we're all in the same ballpark. I'm not necessarily looking at this game at even off Minnesota's impressive win in Dallas last night. Now you have, from a spot standpoint, the markets are going to let this get a whole lot higher. Denver off a win and a bye, and as a 3-win team on the season. It's one thing if you're a 7-1 team like New Orleans is off a win and a bye. It's another thing if you're Denver and you're 2-6, and now you're 3-6 and you have a bye. I don't expect them to come out flat, is what I'm saying. The way that the Saints did yesterday, and Minnesota, with the big win on Sunday Night Football, travel afterwards, relatively short week. You can anticipate that this has a feel of a sharp square divide game. I think the Joes will be on laying with Minnesota and the pros will be on Denver. I don't have a strong take from the get-go on this one, and I don't anticipate any significant line move off the opener.
Teddy, next game up, we got the New York Jets at Washington. Looks like 1.5. That's the Redskins laying at home. 38 being the total, Teddy.
Yeah, Jets cash for the clients and I yesterday. Easy peasy, man. Although that game made me crazy. They all make you crazy. That's the way the NFL is. Jamal Adams, Jamal Adams with the play of the game. That was a difference maker in that contest. No question. Look at line here was Washington 1.5. My powering number is Pick'em. Redskins coming off a bye. The word is that it's going to be, even if Case Keenum is healthy, it's going to be Dwayne Haskins this week. Again, and Dwayne Haskins has shown some signs, but we saw the Redskins try to lay points against Miami. Washington is not a team I'm comfortable laying points with. I don't think it's a team the markets are comfortable laying points with. This line maxes at 2. It's not getting a 3. Not with Haskins behind center. And that Jets injury report's worth looking at. See, that offensive line made a big difference with Beachum back in the lineup yesterday. An offense that didn't work all of a sudden worked again. Lots of positive quotes from about Sam Darnold and from Sam Darnold after that ball game. Yeah, this line can't go high. It can only get lower.
And Teddy,
we're seeing it at 1.5, and maybe gets to 2, but it's not going to get steamed towards Washington.
And Teddy, another quick handicapping question here for you. When it's 1 or 1.5 or either side favored, not necessarily opinion on this exact game, do you ever recommend just doing the money line?
Yes. I do.
In the NFL? Okay.
Absolutely. I do. It's something I do all the time in the preseason. That being said, when I'm taking a dog, I'm more likely to get involved in the money line with the favorite, instead of laying the 1.5. And with ones, I'll lay the 1, rather than money line it there. At 1.5 to 2.5, I'll occasionally take the money line. With my dogs, I'll tell you flat out, I take the plus 1.5. I take the plus 2. I take the plus 2.5. What I found is that your return on investment, where you're getting, all right, I'm getting a plus 105 or a plus 110 here. It's not enough of an incentive in a game that you expect to be close, and the close games get decided by a missed 2-point conversion, by someone kicks a field goal to go up by 1. That point and a half, 2 can make a big, big difference. So with the dogs, I tend to take the points. With the favorites, at times, I will lay the price.
I'm with you. Yeah, good analysis there, Teddy. We got AFC East here, Buffalo at Miami. Dolphins catching 5.5 in Hard Rock, 39 the total.
Yeah, look headline here, Buffalo 7.5. My powering number, Buffalo 6. And the Bills were a team that played a bad, that's a pretty good team that played a bad game yesterday. Although sometimes I wonder how good the Bills are. Bills not to make the playoffs might be a bet to look at right now. At 6-3, everyone thinks Buffalo's all that. I'm not convinced Buffalo's all that. Their run defense isn't what it was. And the passing game's hit or miss. Allen's not an accurate passer. But again, look ahead 7.5, my number 6. The single hottest point spread team in the NFL is the Miami Dolphins. It's not close. No, Baltimore's with them.
Dolphins are good, though.
What's that?
They're real good of late. You're right.
Yeah. Oh, they covered 5 in a row. Most of them haven't been close. And I was concerned about Miami. All right, they got the win. Did they let down?
No.
Exactly. They gave the Bills a battle in that first meeting up in Buffalo. I'm not surprised that, again, this number was 6.5 last night. And this morning we're looking at, 5.5. I would expect that we will see, and not maybe a ton more Miami money, but, the Bills aren't going to be steamed up to 7 in this game. I'll just put it that way.
Teddy, Houston at Baltimore up next. Talking about the Ravens here, laying 4 at home, 49.5 being the total.
Should we doodle you? Because this isn't a huge line move, but this is one you want to get. If you like the Texans, look headline here was 5. My powering number is 4. This number's going to 4. The 4.5s aren't going to be there. It might go to 3.5. Houston will get some market support coming off their bye week. You can see the signs of it already. But it's not. That's not. I'm not convinced it gets to 3.5 or 3. So it's like, all right, you grab the 4.5, you'll get the best of the number here. I think with the Texans, but it's not around this key number. You have to have the 4.5 in your pocket. If you get a 4, it's not going to kill you in that regard. But I do anticipate Houston money. Although, if certainly spot standpoint, Texans with the extra time to prep. Baltimore off another impressive victory. And that's 3 straight big wins for the Ravens over the last 3 weeks. And they were all games they took seriously, and now Lamar Jackson is, he's the MVP favorite now and all of that. Heck of a spin move. But
yeah,
they might be putting the cart before the horse a little bit with Baltimore. I think we'll see some wise guy support for the Texans.
Teddy, next game up, we're moving to the 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific kicks here. We got 45 being the total. San Francisco laying mostly 13.5 at home, of course, with the 49ers playing tonight in Monday Night Football. It is a limited marketplace, but either way, 49ers 13.5 at home, 45.5 the total, Teddy.
Look headline here, San Fran minus 14. My powering number, San Fran minus 13. Arizona's offense is good enough to move the ball up and down the field against weaker defenses. 49ers not a weaker defense. Let's see what San Fran looks like tonight. One would anticipate if San Fran blows them out, that will be looking at a point spread range of 2 touchdowns or more. But maybe not, because they'll look at the spot and they'll go, oh, San Fran's flat. It's a short week and all of that.
Short week, right?
13.5 feels like the appropriate number here. And again, the look ahead was 14. My power rating's 13. We're right in the same ballpark. And I've got San Fran power rated, I think it's the 2nd or 3rd best team in the NFL. They're behind New England. Do I have them 2? Let me look. Let me look while you bring up the next game.
All right. And guys, he's Teddy Covers. Follow him on Twitter at Teddy_Covers. We got a special coupon code here for the podcast. TC299 at checkout for his NFL full season here. That's the rest of the NFL season with Teddy Covers for under $300. That includes his Super Bowl prop package, which is always a fun one to bet there. And he's had a lot of success with it. Everything would be included, all plays he releases with analysis for under $300 in the NFL. TC299 at checkout. He's 6-1 in the month of November in the NFL. Also, last 5 years, guys, my favorite stat here, 196 and 146. That's 57% in the NFL since 2015. Last 5 years, 57% in the NFL. Not many people at all better than that. Get his rest of NFL season package for under $300 on sportsmemo.com using the coupon code TC299 at checkout. Teddy, did you find the power ratings there?
Of course I did.
Right.
Doesn't take that. I appreciate the giving me the time there. Doesn't take long. I got the Patriots, then the Saints, then the Niners, then the Chiefs, then a drop-off before the Green Bay, Baltimore, Minnesota, Rams, Texans, Cowboys, Seahawks, Eagles of the world. I have 4 teams that are clearly ahead of the rest. And I've got San Fran ranked number 3 out of those 4 teams.
And Teddy, in the futures market, not that you're a big futures market, but would you pick maybe any team off the top of your head not in that first segment to possibly have a puncher's chance at winning the Super Bowl?
If I was going to bet the futures market, I would have bet the 4 teams that I consider to be the 4 best teams, and I'd have bet them a while ago.
All right, that's fair enough. I don't want to be, we don't want to be recommending futures bets on this podcast anyway. We got
leave that for Darren Ravel.
Exactly.
Leave the other guys to go nothing about sports betting. They can talk about futures. If you know something about sports betting, you know that betting teams to win the Super Bowl is a bad bet. No exceptions. If you can find a live dog, a live long shot prior to the season in the 100-to-1 range, or even the 50-to-1 range, okay, I'll let you throw a couple of bucks on it without bitching at you too much. But at this stage of the season, good luck finding value on that future board. Knock yourself out.
Good stuff, Teddy. We got New England at Philadelphia up next. Patriots laying 3 in the hook on the road. 45.5 the total, Teddy.
Look headline was 3. My powering number is 3. The markets were at 3. Now we're looking at 3.5. The Patriots taking money this morning. There was a Brady quote talking about he's still not over the Eagles beating them in the Super Bowl. Both teams coming off a bye. New England coming off a bye and a loss, which historically has been a pretty strong situation. When Brady's still talking about a game from 3 years ago, the last time he met Philly, you can understand why the market's moved off of 3 to 3.5 this morning. I don't know that it gets a whole lot higher for the Pats than that. Let me see, is there any indication this is going to go to 4? It's not going to 4, I don't think. Not an early indication. 3.5 appears to be where this number is going to settle, even though, again, look ahead was 3. Neither team played. My powering number is 3. And the markets are saying, yeah, your look ahead line wasn't good enough. Should have been 3.5. You see what I'm saying? Neither team did anything except for show up.
And yet we're seeing 3.5s pretty much across the board. There is 1 3 out there at Circa here in Las Vegas, minus 120 juice on that 3 flat number. We got Cincinnati at Oakland up next, Teddy. 49 being the total, seeing more doubles here at home. That's the Raiders laying 10 in the hook at home.
Look at the line here was Oakland minus 8. My powering number is Oakland minus 11.5. So pretty significant difference between those two. I think the biggest difference of the week between the look headline and my powering number. That said, okay, how do you find a dead team? What are you looking for in a box score? What I'm looking for in a box score, Drew.
Okay,
that was a rhetorical question.
I was going to go down the list of what I'm looking for, but yeah.
The thing this stood out to me, and this isn't a game again. I watched everything, and I barely had this game on yesterday. I got 3 TVs. I watched 2 games on each TV. There are 7 games going early, and this was the one that every once in a while I click over to see what's going on, but I really didn't pay a whole lot of attention to. So the box score and the play-by-play analysis for a game like that is bigger for me than the other games. And I go through the play-by-play. And this is what I saw from Cincinnati with a quarterback who's not an NFL quarterback. Ryan Finley's not there yet. A head coach who's not an NFL head coach. Jack Taylor's not ready yet. A team that hasn't shown a whole lot of energy and spirit, defensively. A team where the best skill position weapon on offense was supposed to play. And then he's like, I'm taking the rest of the season off too. And A.J. Green. And then you look at the box score and you see what they did. You go through the play-by-play. They were crushed in that game, right? Scores 28-3. Joe Mixon had 30 carries yesterday. 30. Okay. Which means they have nothing. And the coach is like, how do we get this game to shorten?
Right.
And how do we get out of here? And now you're taking when you're taking your feature back and you're plowing them again and again in the line in a game where you're down 5 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, it's dumb. It's a bad coaching staff. They're the worst team in the NFL. They're the worst organization in the NFL. Marvin Lewis, for all the like we were trying to hold on to Marvin Lewis, as being oh my God, Marvin Lewis, it's all his fault. You remember the Bengals before Marvin Lewis? They were the worst team in the NFL and the worst franchise in the NFL. And Marvin Lewis was so good and lasted so long because he stabilized the worst team and the worst franchise in the NFL. I'll tell you what, I don't like anything about Cincinnati right now. And that box score stood out to me, and the Raiders will have to take money. They already have. The tens, there's still tens. There's still a handful of tens. We can doodly-oop on those. I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of Cincinnati money this week. The 10's likely to be betting the 10.5. But that's not the emergent. I've given you two little doodly-oops. And this one is, we'll talk about it. There's still 2 games left. There's one that I think is a big doodly-oop, but I'm not convinced.
All right. Well, we have 2 left. You're right. The Sunday Nighter and the Monday Nighter. And talking about the 10s out there on the Raiders. If you're in Vegas, seeing them as we're talking at Cantor, showing a 10. So is Circa. And offshores, at least according to the Sports Memo odd sheet, we're seeing 10 at Chris, the Costa Rican.
Yeah. Bookmakers got 10. Caesars has 10. Circa has 10. Wynn's got 10 right now. The Coast casinos in Vegas have 10. As you mentioned, Cantor's got 10. They're out there. I don't think they're going to last.
Teddy, the Sunday Nighter, we got the Bears at the Rams, seeing the L.A. Rams. Yes, that's the Los Angeles Rams. 6.5 at home, 41 being the total, Teddy.
Oh, yeah, look ahead line, 7.5. My powering number is 7. And if you think the Bears are fixed because they beat the Lions yesterday, you weren't watching the same game that I was. I have to think this goes to 7. I do, and I understand the Rams haven't played well. And at 6.5, it's 6.5, 7 even right now. If you like LA, I would lock in at 6.5 here. If you like, I would. I don't think that the Bears didn't answer any questions yesterday. All they did was beat a team with a backup quarterback barely. Of course, the Rams haven't answered a whole lot of questions of late. And the fact that in a 1-possession game, Todd Gurley had his last touch in the third quarter, McVay, there's pressure now for the Rams in a way there hasn't been. It's not all feel good for LA. So I don't even know that the right side here. I just have to think that this line will go to 7. In fact, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't bet the Rams at -7, so maybe it won't go to 7. I'd only take the Bears at +7. So I don't know. I thought that there was a decent chance this was going to go to that this would be an emergency and you got to get there. And the more I look at it, and I'm gauging the market right here, I would honestly say if you like Chicago, grab a 7. If you like the Rams, grab a 6.5. Now the market will go one way or the other. I thought it was going to 7, and now I'm not convinced that's the case. So for all the big doodly oops, and that's the emergency betting alert note, this isn't a huge emergency betting alert week.
Guys, we got the Monday Nighter ahead. And remember, Teddy covers 6-1, 86% November NFL in the last 5 years in the NFL, 57%. That's 196 and 146, 57% in the NFL since 2015. That's the last 5 years. Get the rest of his NFL season all the way through the Super Bowl with the Super Bowl props package under $300 right now for the next 48 hours. SportsMemo.com, coupon code TC299 at checkout. Rest of the NFL season on SportsMemo.com with Teddy covers TC299 at checkout. Teddy, quick hit the Monday Nighter here. We'll be able to talk it next week. Kansas City at the LA Chargers, 53 being the total. Chiefs laying 3 in the hook on the road.
I'm just looking. I mean, we've seen some over money already for sure. Look headline here with KC -3. My powering number is KC -5.5. This is Mexico City. Okay. This isn't in LA. This is a neutral site game. And both teams coming off losses. So there's an urgency here. I can't imagine that we're going to see a lot of Chargers money, even though the Chiefs' defensive numbers continue to and the Chiefs, forget the numbers. I mean, the Chiefs' defense was a problem yesterday, obviously. Although they lost the game because they couldn't execute the 2 field goals. Make no mistake about it. That's why they took the straight-up loss in that contest. 2 chances in the final 2 minutes and couldn't get the job done on either one. Where is this number? Kansas City is the ultimate public team right now, but the luster is off. So I'm not convinced that it's going to be all Chiefs money here. 3.5 right now looks like the prevailing number, is the prevailing number, and I don't get a strong sense that it's going to move. We have already seen over money, and I'm not convinced we're going to see more of it. So there's no emergency here for the Chargers Chiefs game. And I will say that I cashed a ticket betting against LA last week, and I don't know, they were the right side, wrong side. That's another team that is they shoot themselves in the foot a lot more than Kansas City does. But they have been very good in the underdog role.
All right, Teddy. Great pod. As always, guys, remember the coupon code TC299 at checkout. Rest of his NFL season under $300, 57% NFL last 5 years running. That's TC299 at checkout. Teddy, anything else you want to throw out there before we shut this down?
Yeah, I mean, the November football's been good. The last 2 weeks, September was good, and October was, I didn't want to talk about October. It wasn't a good month. November's been good, 13-3 NFL and college combined for the month so far. And for what it's worth, I like my short list already on Monday morning. So hopefully we'll be able to keep it going the way that we have the last couple of weeks and put some money in the clients' pockets. Thanks for watching, guys. Really appreciate your time on a Monday. And good luck all week. Good luck tonight and all week long. Cheers.
All right. He's Teddy Covers. Check out his packages at sportsmemo.com. And programming note here, guys, next Monday night, the NFL Opening Line Report podcast will be posted a little bit later in the afternoon. I'm heading out of town for the weekend, so we're rescheduling it for a couple hours later. But overall, guys, best of luck with your bets. Thanks for tuning in. Please smash the like button if you can, and we'll talk college football. Every Game on the Board podcast starting on Wednesday. Best of luck with your bets.